Welcome to the Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
Well, happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Lock Shop. Nielson and Huss back with you once again, and we got a jam-packed episode. We're going to give you our official Grey Cup pick, and then we will dive into our best bets for Week 11 in the National Football League as well. If you're watching on Twitter, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search The Lock Shop on YouTube. In fact, go to our Twitter account at Lock Shop Bets. And all you have to do there is retweet the pin tweet, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you're in the mix for $1,000 cash. Huss, one more day, and then you're flying away to Qatar, buddy.
There's a lot going on right now, Dusty. Jets are on a bit of a heater. Great night last night at Canada Life Center. Tons of excitement around here about the Grey Cup on Sunday, and the Bombers going for the three-peat. And yes, the trip out to Qatar, leaving tomorrow. We'll get there and have about 4 hours to figure out how to watch the Bombers go for history. And then looking forward to hooking up with you and doing Winnipeg Sports Talk, and tons of fun content coming from Doha over the course of the next 2 weeks as Canada returns to the World Cup. And on tomorrow's Parlay Show, do also have a number of World Cup wagers, including a bunch surrounding Team Canada. So looking forward to getting to that. But yeah, everything's happening.
Yeah, we've got a lot going on. There's no doubt about it. All right, we're going to start with the Grey Cup. Then we'll get to our Week 11 best bets in the National Football League. And, Lock Shop's going to ride together on Grey Cup week here, Huss. Bombers, minus 5.5. I don't know why it says plus 5.5 for yours. I'll quickly correct that. But we are on the Bombers this week. Huss, I knew you were going to be going there. Did you consider at all going the other way on at least the spread?
I did. Listen, I absolutely hold out a major possibility that this is a very tight game. I think the Argos are, for whatever reason, have been a team that have played the Bombers really close. I think that they do have a lot of confidence coming into this game. And I'll tell you what, I think that the emotional lift from having Andrew Harris in that game, playing against his old team, it just adds a real interesting wrinkle. But I just can't get over the fact that the Bombers seemingly are the most prepared and complete team that we've seen, not just in the Canadian Football League, but pretty much any sport, for the consistency that they've been throughout this season. And when it comes down to it, they're going to kick off for 60 minutes. The Bombers are not going to leave anything, in the playbook. They are ready to go. It kind of seemed like they've been on a mission. And when it comes down to the line of scrimmage, the key skill players, special teams as well, I mean, I'm giving the Bombers the tick on most of those. So I do think that the Argos, there absolutely is a path to make this a real thriller and an exciting game. And maybe the Bombers don't cover the number. But as we've been saying all year long, no one's getting rich betting against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. This is the culmination of this season, one of the great seasons in CFL history. I think they get it done. And I do think that if the crowd and particularly the weather plays a big part, it'll be hugely in favor of Winnipeg. And maybe we do get that double-digit difference at the end of 60.
For Toronto to win this game, I think everything has to go right for the Argos. For the Bombers to just win this game, not everything has to go right. For the Bombers to cover the spread, I don't even necessarily think everything has to go right. Maybe we're crazy to sit here and say we like the Bombers minus 5.5 with Zach Collaros banged up as he is. But the Bombers have been on a mission from day one, and I do feel if things don't go well for the Argos early in this game, I think you'll see some frustration and panic set in on the sideline. And to be honest with you, I mean, they probably should be panicking on the sideline if things don't start very well for the Argos in this game, because I just don't see McLeod Bethel-Thompson leading a significant comeback in this game if the Bombers come out and drop 14 on you in the first quarter, which they can certainly do.
Well, and here's the thing. Let's go back to week 4, the one regular season matchup between these two teams. That's pretty much what happened. I mean, the Bombers had a big lead. They were up by, I want to say, about 21 points. And then sort of slowly, late third quarter and the fourth quarter, they took the foot off the gas, and the Argos stormed back and actually were within a convert of tying the game in the final seconds and moments of the game. I think the fact that that happened already, the Bombers, is something that will prevent it from. Like, if the Bombers do get a lead, I don't think they relax. I think they keep the throttle fully engaged and try and just keep on adding to it. So a big start is going to be crucial for the Toronto Argonauts. And then the other side of it is, I mean, this is an outdoor weather game, middle of the prairies.
Doesn't look too crazy. Looking like maybe -1, -2, but still. What's it, Bane from Batman? I was born in the dark. I mean, the Bombers were born in this, right?
They were, and they're built for it. And it's one thing to say, oh, that'll be the daytime high. Let's not forget, this is a 5:30 kickoff.
Yeah, fair enough.
See what happens with the wind. The sun's going to go down. I mean, it's not going to be there for the entire game. So the Argos are going to need to be ready for it. It was interesting talking to Marshall Ferguson. He said at the start, they were noticeably not enjoying the cold too much. Their first practice was essentially a quick walkthrough wearing jackets while the Bombers were fully engaged. Although I talked to Mike Hogan earlier today, they've got some guys out there in shorts today. They really are embracing it. They realize that they are going to have to do that. But I just think back to the way the Bombers ran things on the line of scrimmage. That offensive line that Kyle Walters has put together just continues to pay dividends. And Brady Oliveira is coming off a career day in one of the biggest games of his entire career, and it's only getting bigger and more important on Sunday. And if the Bombers can continue to move the football, move the chains, keep the Toronto offense off of the field, and then take advantage of their opportunities on the defensive side of the football to create turnovers, I think the Bombers can do it. Turnovers, obviously, I mean, goes without saying, will be a massive factor in this game. I think that for the Argos to win or have this close, I think they need to win the turnover battle. And that's easier said than done against a team that's very opportunistic and for the most part does not make very many mistakes.
All right, so there we go. It's lock shop unanimous. Bombers -5.5 in the Grey Cup on Sunday. It's been a great CFL season. Huss was seeing that CFL board very well for a good chunk of the year. And I'm looking forward to this game. I hope it's a close game. I'm sure it will be. It'd be a perfect way to wrap up the season. So fingers crossed. But I think the Bombers do find a way to get this done, and they have to three-peat. Simple as that. I mean, the Ticats had already gone through it once with them and then had another chance at it, and it still wasn't enough to get it done. I know it took overtime and everything. I understand that. Toronto ain't been here before against the Bombers. I think it's going to be a wake-up call for the Argos in this game, so we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, bring it on. Kickoff. I can tell you this entire city's ready, and I wouldn't be surprised if there is a ton of traffic on Highway 1 heading west from this morning right through really until game day morning of people that are going to be going out there getting their hands on tickets and repping the blue and gold. Be very interesting to see what the crowd is like, because I think the majority of the Melonheads will be riding with the Argos.
Yeah.
But I also know a lot of them sold their tickets and they were probably selling them to Bomber fans. So the crowd will be fascinating, the conditions. But when it comes down to it, these are two football teams. These games are often won in the trenches. And I think the Bombers is the superior team. And I'm hoping on Winnipeg Sports Talk, we're having a fun time on Monday talking about a championship parade and another Grey Cup here in Winnipeg for Mike O'Shea and this great football team.
All right, let's slide over to the National Football League. Of course, it is Friday, and this is when we give you our best bets for Week 11. Tomorrow, we'll have some parlays. We'll have that World Cup discussion that we're going to have. And, of course, we'll have our partner parlay for you as well. That's all coming up tomorrow in the Lock Shop. But, Huss, let's dive into it, buddy. Week 11 best bets, man. You have the better record so far. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I get... It's so funny. After having these few good weeks, I'm now in a situation where I'm obsessing over these picks going into Friday's show. I mean, listen, 26-14 against the spread through 10 weeks. The bar has been set high, but hopefully we can keep things going. And listen, I'm taking a ton of points this week. Looking at the board and some of the games, there was a few that were immediate cross-offs that I didn't want to have anything to do with. And I did get a couple nice numbers 2 days ago when I was locking these ones in. And we'll start with the Chicago Bears. I got them in at +3.5. That number right now is up to -132. So there has been obviously some betting on Chicago. I just think that this team is due for a win. I mean, we've been talking so much about how great Justin Fields has been, and most of those conversations have really been fantasy football based. They got to win a football game here. And I think that this opportunity against the Falcons, the way that they've been running the football, is absolutely perfect. And to be honest, Dusty, part of me feels that, the Cinderella, it's midnight for the Falcons, who had that great start to the season. But as we saw, lost last week to Carolina. I think the law of diminishing returns is sort of catching up with Atlanta, who is maybe playing a little bit out of their weight class to begin the season. So, I mean, to me, this should be almost like a pick 'em. I mean, I know Chicago's lost these last couple games and lost to Detroit. We'll get to the Lions in a minute. But the 3.5, like the hook in there was too good to miss out. And even right now at 3, like we'll get to this tomorrow. I wouldn't at all be surprised if they win this game. To me, this is really a coin flip, the way that Chicago's offense is rolling right now and some of the struggles we saw from Atlanta last week. So at 3.5 was a no-brainer. I think even at 3, it's a pick that I would be happy to make. The other number that I got a couple days ago that is looking quite a bit better than it is right now was the Texans at plus 3.5. This number, if you go to CoolBet right now, is at 3 minus 105. If you do want to bet it to plus 3.5, it's now to minus 122. There's been a few people going on. Listen, I'm Commanders guy, left hand up. What a Monday night win by Taylor Heineke and the gang. But I do think this is a really, really tough spot for Washington. They have the Monday night game against the division rivals, the undefeated Eagles. They're coming off a short week. They're going on the road to play a team that nobody thinks is capable of beating just about anybody. To me, this is a big spot play. I think the Texans do have some exciting things happening. Dameon Pierce has had an unbelievable rookie season. And I think this is an opportunity for Davis Mills to maybe work in some of these other younger receivers outside of Brandon Cooks, who's, as you mentioned earlier this week, has been not in great spirits since not being traded. I think Washington's a better team, absolutely. But I think Houston, with the home field, the short week for Washington, and a bit of an emotional letdown, frankly, after playing Monday night primetime against an undefeated team, I think this could be a very, very close game. So I'm going to roll with the home dog in this one again. The Houston Texans plus 3.5. Right now, 3 is minus 105, as I mentioned. And if you do want to buy it up the half point, you can get it at minus 122. Then the other pick is Detroit. And this is wild to me, Dusty. We know, the Giants, with the record that they have, are essentially, this is basically a pick 'em, and we're giving the Giants the 3 points for home field. I'm stunned that this number is not more, and it almost seems like they're begging us to take the Giants. And I don't know. I'm not falling for it. I think that what the Lions have done with that win over Green Bay and the win last week against Chicago, we know that they're out of it, but they were better than their record before. They'd found some incredible ways to lose earlier in this season. Now it seems like they're actually finding ways to win. I would not at all be surprised if Detroit wins this game outright on the money line. And I'm going to take the 3 points for the Lions to hang in this game and have a close one. I don't think the Giants are really capable of blowing anybody out right now. They did cover last week against Houston, but they better be ready to play against the Detroit Lions because there is absolutely no quitting that team. There's not a lot of defense in that team either, but I'll tell you what, with what Jared Goff was able to do last week and that big comeback against the Bears, I really do think that they're poised to continue this, and I think they're going to give the Giants all they can handle. I'm taking Detroit plus 3. I was originally, full disclosure, going to take Cleveland plus 7.5, and then they moved the game to Ford Field, which is such a disappointment. The funniest thing we heard about, Dusty, was that there was going to be 6 feet of snow, and both running backs in the game are under 6 feet. So we weren't sure how that was going to work. Anyways, we won't get
that was funny.
We won't get the all-time snow game because it's going to be played in Ford Field. At that point, I sort of pumped the brakes on Cleveland. I do think Buffalo without any conditions probably can run all over. Josh Allen will be looking for a big game. So what have we done all year long? Take double-digit underdogs to cover the number. And the Carolina Panthers are staring me at plus 13 going into Baltimore. Is Baltimore a better team? Absolutely. Could Baltimore win this game by 30? Yeah. But, given the limited other options And I really like what Carolina did last week. I think now that PJ's in there playing quarterback, McCaffrey's gone, there's a lot of younger players that are getting the opportunity to step up. Monte Foreman, of course, has been playing great at the running back position. And listen, 13 points is just a big, big number to cover for any team right now. And as we've seen so far this year, favorites are not covering double-digit spreads right now. So for my fourth pick, looking for one, I'm rolling with the Panthers at plus 13. So I'm actually taking 4 dogs, taking points in all of them. It's worked so far this year, and hopefully we can keep this thing rolling in a positive direction after a few really good weeks with the best bets.
Gotta love it. The guy's been on an absolute roll. I am going to go head-to-head with you, kind of on one of them. It's a little bit of a different number because you said you got Houston at plus 3.5. I'm on Washington here at -3. And you did mention Dameon Pierce. He has had a phenomenal season. He's been very lackluster as of late, and I think he's really the only bright spot that they've got going for them right now. Brandon Cooks doesn't even want to be there. They just claimed Eno Benjamin off of waivers, so I'm not too sure what that means as far as an offensive perspective goes. And this is not a fading of Houston, which very well, I mean, could be a fading of Houston. You do make a very good point with the spot play here against Washington, considering what they're coming off of. But they've won 4 of 5. The one game that they lost in there was against the Minnesota Vikings, and it was a 3-point game. Outside of that, I mean, they've done really good things since Carson Wentz was injured, and Carson Wentz is, again, his job back anytime soon. Now, that being said, this also isn't a Heineke play. I mean, do I like the offense a little bit better with Heineke in there? Sure. I think, get their running backs involved a little bit more. He's certainly activated Terry McLaurin, who should have a big day here. Love his fantasy week coming up here against Houston. But this is a play for the Washington defense. And I think Washington's defense getting healthy has shown how good they've been as of late. And I just don't think Houston has the offensive weapons right now to score the points to keep pace with Washington against the Commanders' defense. So I am going to throw the left hand up once again, and I'm going to hop on Washington to keep this roll going and ride some of the momentum they got from Philly, right? Went on the road against Philly. Road Warriors now. Go and do it again. So Washington -3. I'm with you on the Bears. I didn't get it last night like you did, so it has moved. I got it at +3. And you're right, Huss. I mean, first of all, look who they're playing. Not a good football team by any stretch of the imagination. Justin Fields can possibly do whatever he wants against Atlanta this week, and that's good news for the Chicago Bears. So Bears winning this outright would not surprise me. Getting them at 3 still. Would have liked to have got in it at 3.5 last night, but I'll hop on the Bears here at 3. I am on New England against the Jets. Bill Belichick has won 13 in a row against the Jets, and they were up by 12 earlier in the season when they played. The Jets got a late touchdown. Pats still covered there. The thing that's very fascinating here is that in that game, it was the Jets' home game. New England was a 3-point road favorite. Now they go home, and they're a 3.5 home favorite against the Jets. So I'm not too sure. I'm figuring out exactly why that isn't a little bit different than it is. But Zach Wilson, 7 interceptions in 3 games against Bill Belichick in his career so far. You want to bet on a quarterback to throw an interception this week? It's Wilson against a defense that's top 5 in sacks. That's they're a very, very good defense. They're going to be at home here. New England -3.5 against the Jets to do what they always do against the Jets. And then this Minnesota-Dallas game, I just had to go with Minnesota as a dog at home just because. They have 1 loss on the year, and they're a dog at home against the Cowboys team that just got put up for 31 against the Packers, who offense, I guess, has been turning it around a little bit. But, Haas, what do you think of this line? Why are the Vikings a dog at home here? What's going on?
Total disrespect of an 8-1 football team that's finding ways to win football games right now. I was stunned that this number is what it is. And we'll be getting to those in the parlays tomorrow on it. Could Dallas win this game? Yeah. But I think that Minnesota continues passing all of these tests. They just went into Buffalo and beat the Bills on the road and won the game of the year.
The disrespect continues, buddy.
The Cowboys blew a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter against the Packers, who haven't been beating anybody as of late, and of course lost last night at home to the Titans. So to me, this should be at minimum a pick'em, or a Vikings a slight favorite in this game. I'm with you. I like the Vikings to win this game, and a little tease. I have a feeling the Vikings are going to show up on a money line parlay for tomorrow's props and parlay show in the Lock Shop.
So there you go. That's our Week 11 best bets. Chicago +3, Washington -3, Minnesota +1.5, and New England -3.5 for me. Haas is on Carolina +13, the Bears at 3.5, Detroit +3, and Houston +3.5 as well. We mentioned it earlier. Bombers -5.5, the official Lock Shop Grey Cup pick. And we're going to be right back on Saturday, once again, with parlays and some World Cup sort of futures bets. We'll get into that as well. Huss, best of luck packing the rest of the day today, and we'll chat tomorrow, buddy.
Thanks, dude.